you cannot use these scriptures to make up these Christmas myths. It's not there. There's nowhere in the Bible where it says that Christ was born December the 25th. We're about to talk about Christ's birth, because there's certain myths that you guys think is actually associated with Christ in the Bible, and that's not true. If we're all in the holiday spirit, why are we not celebrating the holidays that God made? Why is it? Because you get all these Christians that'll say, I'm celebrating this because I'm going to rejoice in my Lord and Savior. I'm always going to acknowledge and commemorate God. Well, if that's the case, why aren't you celebrating the Sabbath? Why aren't you celebrating the new moon? Why aren't you celebrating the Feast of Tabernacles? All of that is in the Bible. But now you put all of those holidays that are in the Bible to the side for the holidays that are not in the Bible. And that's why we're going to talk about the birth of Christ. Was Christ born on December the 25th? Let's look. This is the book of St. Luke, the 2nd chapter. Luke chapter 2 verse 1 reads, and it came to pass in those days that there went out a decree from Caesar Augustus that all the world should be taxed. And this taxing was first made when Cyrenius was governor of Syria. And all went to be taxed, every one into his own city. And Joseph also went up from Galilee, out of the city of Nazareth, into Judea, unto the city of David, which is called Bethlehem, because he was out of the house and lineage of David, to be taxed with Mary, his espoused wife, being great with child. And so it was, while they were there, the days were accomplished that she should be delivered. And she brought forth her firstborn son, and wrapped him in swaddling clothes, and laid him in a manger, because there was no room for them in the inn. And there were in the same country shepherds abiding in the field, keeping watch over their flock by night. Now, this story gives a lot of the background behind Jesus' birth, but one of the things that they never talk about is the shepherds abiding in the field in the winter. How could there have been shepherds abiding in the field in the dead of winter when the shepherds never had any flock out in the environment? Here it is. It's the winter time. It's mean season. You have to protect your livestock by keeping them sheltered. This is talking about a time where the temperatures were hot enough to where livestock would freely roam the earth. You would not have lamb out in the open and it's freezing. A lot of y'all saw what happened this past week with the cold front. Go and talk to any shepherds that have real sheep. Are you gonna have your sheep outside and it's 10 below? Nope. You have to bring them into warmth, otherwise they're going to die. But when you read about the story of Christ in the manger, it says there were in the same country shepherds abiding in the field. What shepherds do you know that's going to be all out in the field tending to flock in the mean season and dead of winter, keeping watch over their flock by night? It's obvious that this passage lets you know this is at a time outside of December the 25th. Christ being born December the 25th is nowhere in the Bible. This is giving us a lot of contextual clues that the time that you're reading about right here is not talking about the dead of winter. This is talking about a time where there was more greenery in the earth, a time where it was safe for your cattle and your sheep to roam the earth, okay? Let's also talk about the so-called three wise men. This is in Matthew chapter 2, verse 1. Oh, what a comment. And what time is tax time? When it was time for the whole world to be taxed, was that happening on December the 25th?
Nope.
Where did America get its tax system from? They got it from ancient Rome. The same tax system under ancient Rome has come to America. And you know, there's a time when the taxes are due in April. But we're going to get to that in just a second. We're going to go back to Matthew chapter 2. Matthew chapter 2 and verse 1. Now, when Jesus was born in Bethlehem of Judea in the days of Herod the king, behold, there came wise men from the east to Jerusalem, saying, Where is he that is born King of the Jews? For we have seen his star in the east and are come to worship him. When Herod the king had heard these things, he was troubled, and all Jerusalem with him. And when he had gathered all the chief priests and scribes of the people together, he demanded of them where Christ should be born. And they said unto him, In Bethlehem of Judea, for thus it is written by the prophet, And thou, Bethlehem, in the land of Judea, art not the least among the princes of Judah. For out of thee shall come a governor that shall rule my people Israel. Then Herod, when he had privily called the wise men, inquired of them diligently what time the star appeared. I want y'all to notice, nowhere from Matthew 2, verse 1 all the way down through 7, does it ever say there are 3 wise men. The men here is plural, but it doesn't denote the number 3. Moving on, verse 8 reads, And he sent them to Bethlehem and said, Go and search diligently for the young child, and when ye have found him, bring me word again, that I may come and worship him also. When they had heard the king, they departed, and lo, the star which they saw in the east went before them till it came and stood over where the young child was. When they saw the star, they rejoiced with exceeding great joy. And when they were come into the house, they saw the young child with Mary, his mother. You know, it's funny how they keep saying young child and not baby. And when they were come into the house, they saw the young child with Mary, his mother, and fell down and worshiped him. And when they had opened their treasures, they presented unto him gifts, gold, frankincense, and myrrh. The reason why pastors will incorrectly say that there were 3 wise men is because there were not 3 wise men. There were 3 gifts: gold, frankincense, and myrrh. It's very possible that there was an entire fleet of men that made this voyage to see the king. And being warned of God in a dream that they should not return to Herod, they departed into their own country another way. And when they were departed, behold, the angel of the Lord appeareth to Joseph in a dream, saying, Arise, and take the young child and his mother, and flee into Egypt. And be thou there until I bring thee word, for Herod will seek the young child to destroy him. Now, I got a couple questions. If Jesus is how y'all depict him, with blonde hair and blue eyes, why did the angel tell Joseph in a dream to take the young child and his mother and hide in Africa? That's the first thing I don't understand. Secondly, when you go back up to verse 11, and when they were come into the house, they saw the young child with Mary his mother, and fell down and worshiped him. And when they had opened their treasures, they presented unto him gifts. You know the reason why I focus on presented unto him gifts? Because Jesus was old enough to receive the gifts that they were getting. He was able to touch these gifts. That's why they call him a young child. This is not talking about the time period in which Christ was born. That's the reason why every time St. Matthew highlights this, he always refers to Christ as a young child. And notice this, when it comes to Herod having a conversation with the wise men, notice what comes from that conversation. Verse 14, when he arose, he took the young child and his mother by night and departed into Egypt, and was there until the death of Herod, that it might be fulfilled which was spoken of the Lord by the prophet, saying, out of Egypt have I called my son. Then Herod, when he saw that he was mocked of the wise men, was exceeding wroth, and sent forth and slew all the children that were in Bethlehem and in all the coast thereof, from 2 years old and under, according to the time which he had diligently inquired of the wise men.
Fatality.
The reason why Herod killed every child that was 2 years old or under is because Jesus very well could have been 2 years old at this time. It doesn't say kill every brand new infant in the earth. There was a dispensation of time that passed before the wise men found the Messiah. That's why you've got to study to show yourself approved. So brothers, sisters, you cannot use these scriptures in Matthew 2 to say, well, there was a story of the 3 wise men. That's a myth. The 3 is making reference to the 3 gifts that the cavalry of wise men gave to Christ. And you cannot use this scripture to say, see, this is the story of the birth of Jesus the Christ. Because it was already understood that Christ was a young child. That's the reason why when the gifts were brought forth, I want to bring my son out here, but I'm not. I want to bring my 8-month-old son out here, and I'm going to try to hand him something. And you know what my son's going to do if I try to hand him something? He's going to put his hand on it like this. You know what else he going to do, Brother Roy? He's going to try to take this and put it to his mouth and try to eat it. Christ was old enough at this time to receive the gifts that were given unto him. If this was talking about a newborn infant, the gifts would have been given to Joseph and Mary. You have to understand how things operate. Notice when a child is born, they'll have what's called in the modern day a registry. In that registry, you're giving the gifts to the parent for the child. But once the child is born and gets to old enough age to be able to process things, you're going to be able to entreat the child with the gift. This is all out of the Bible, so you cannot use these scriptures to make up these Christmas myths. It's not there. There's nowhere in the Bible where it says that Christ was born December the 25th. Quite the contrary, it makes it known that there was enough sun, enough heat in climate throughout the year that there were shepherds abiding in the field during tax season. These are all very important things, brothers and sisters, that we need to know, okay? So as we recap how Christmas is of the devil, we got to remember this. 1 Thessalonians chapter 5. 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, verse 22 says, abstain from all appearance of evil. We know Christmas is an evil holiday. God says we have to abstain from it. Don't make excuses. Stop doing it.